I did a little reconnaissance, some recon, stopping at a trailhead on a hike along the North Country Trail in Michigan that I want to do next year in 2021. And they had these cool cards, these leave no trace cards, front and back information. I have not gone through this yet. So this is kind of a reaction video. I'm going to read through this and give some thoughts, give some ideas, and maybe admit some things that maybe I don't do as well as I should. So yeah, I suppose this is a Mark Goes Hiking reaction video to leave no trace. So we'll get to that in just a second. I'm just going to check on my coffee here. Just about done. But it's leave no trace outdoor ethics. I'll probably just get through the front half today, the plan ahead and prepare through dispose of waste properly, because I don't want this to be a super long video. Okay, I'm gonna mix up my coffee and then we'll get into it. So it's kind of weird, but I wonder how many of us have not done this, have really gone through a list of leave no trace principles. So let's check it out. So the first category of 3 that we'll talk about today is plan ahead and prepare. Bullet point number 1, know the regulations and special concerns for the area that you will visit. That makes sense. Probably, about where can you camp, where can you not camp. I know a loop that I just recently did in northern, how we say it in Michigan is northern lower Michigan, so the lower peninsula, but the northern part of it. It was a loop, about a 19-mile loop, and you could only camp at the campground. It's like one of those, put your money in the pole campgrounds. There's no rangers or no park workers there. And that was the only spot that you could camp. It's about the halfway point. So knowing that is probably important. So probably getting on like some Facebook groups or even the website itself for the particular trails to find out what some of the regulations or special concerns are. It is a good idea. Although I do find some of the websites to find information like that kind of cumbersome. It's definitely a puzzle. So I think Facebook groups are a good way to go. Although I find it interesting because you'll get people on those sites that will post questions like, hey, does anybody know anything about this trail, or does anybody have any recommendations about how to hike this trail or this loop? And you always get some people in there that, and they're just kind of jerks, right? They're like, this question's been asked 14,000 times before. Why don't you search through the group before? It's like, searching through those groups is also extremely difficult. No fault of the group. It's just that there's a lot of content on there. So to find that kind of stuff is, it's rather difficult. But I think part of those backpacking communities on Facebook or whatever is that ongoing conversation. So I personally don't mind it when I see the same questions asked over a period of time. Because to be honest with you, if you said you cannot ask a question that's been asked before, you should search through the group and find the answer. Well, then what are you talking about after like 6 months or a year? I mean, these groups have been around for a while, so if you hold to that principle, nobody's talking about anything anymore because it's all been talked about. So I find that kind of silly. That's only bullet point number 1. Bullet point number 2, prepare for extreme weather, hazards, and emergencies. I think that makes the most sense, or makes a lot of sense. Know your weather report, know what you might encounter. If it's really hot and humid in the summer, make sure you're hydrated before you go out on the trail. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you have food that fits what you're doing, right? But certainly know the miles, your conditions, and emergencies. There's a fine line between packing your fears and also having a good med kit just in case. Pack what you're comfortable with is my thought, and also perhaps watch a good amount of videos on what people pack for their med kit and kind of find what fits you and your situation and your skill level as well. Schedule your trip to avoid times of high use. Amen to that. Now that probably means taking time off of work. One of my favorite trails in Michigan is so incredibly populated and so it's like almost to the point where it's overhiked, and I don't think I would ever advocate for this, but it almost needs to be closed down for a year, because it's getting pretty beat up. I don't know if I support that kind of action or not. Probably not, but maybe a rerouting of certain aspects of the trail to allow parts of the trail to heal up might be a better solution. But yeah, it's or find, what I would suggest is find trails that aren't as used. I think my solution is trying to find a larger diversity of trails to hike and maybe less popular sections of trails to hike. And for me, that's probably going to be getting out of the loop business and getting into point A to B and just figuring out some travel. But if you want to enjoy it more, probably get out when people aren't out there as much. Visit in small groups, split larger parties into groups of 4 to 6. I think that does make a lot of sense, so you're not just trampling on one spot, especially when you set up for camp. If it's not a designated area for a large group, you can really decimate a particular location. I think that makes a lot of sense. And if you are gonna, have the big train of people, I think when you get ready to set up for camp, unless it's a designated spot for a large group, spread out a little bit, and that might mean that you guys are a quarter mile apart. But I do think there's some wisdom there. Repackage food to minimize waste. Yeah, waste on the trail, but I think that's maybe a tip, because if you hike it all out, who cares? You're gonna have the waste anyway. Whether you're at home and you empty half your bag of Doritos into a smaller bag, you still got a Dorito bag to throw away. I know, weird example. Yeah, I think that's just how do you want to pack, and the main principle here is if you pack in stuff, pack it out. That's kind of a weird one. Use a map and compass to eliminate the use of rock cairns. I think that's how you say it, rock cairns. Flagging or marking paint. So I saw this on a video recently. I don't know where it was. Maybe it was R. Pelton too. I've really come to like that channel a lot, Robert Pelton. But there was I think he made a little mini rock cairn just for fun, and he was with Backcountry something. I can't remember his name. He goes by the name Almost. I wish I could remember what his channel is. Just don't remember. But he was like, some people are against this, some people are for it, some people think it's fine. What do you guys think? At the time of watching that video, I thought, who cares? It's like 6 rocks stacked on top of each other, and everybody's not going to do that. And then you'll get some people that are going to come by and knock them down. So I thought, no harm, no foul, who cares? But leave no trace principles does have a suggestion here, right? Eliminate the use of rock cairns. And I think the other thing here is it's good to know how to use a map. It's good to know your area, know how to use a compass. I think those are really good things. So plan ahead and prepare. There's some skills that we need to learn here. What do you need in your med kit? What kind of skills do you have for different emergencies? And then do you know how to use a map? Do you know how to use a compass? Those are probably the 2 skills that you need to learn just from that section. Travel, this is the next section. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. Durable surfaces include established trails and campsites, rock, gravel, dry grass, or snow. I'm going to read this next one because it probably just builds. Yeah, camp at least 200 feet from lakes and streams. Good campsites are found, not made. Altering a site is not necessary in popular areas. More animals. Concentrate on using existing trails and campsites. Okay, so it looks like keep campsites small. Focus activity in areas where vegetation is absent. Oh, wait. Okay, altering the site is not necessary. Okay, and then there's some subsections. In popular areas, concentrate use on existing trails and campsites. Walk single file in the middle of the trail because you don't want to start widening the trail and I guess damaging the area. So it even says even when wet or muddy. So if you're gonna hike like Pictured Rocks, you're gonna get wet feet, period. Because sometimes the trail is a stream. And then keep campsites small. And then in pristine areas, disperse use to prevent the creation of campsites and trails, and then avoid places where impacts are just beginning. I think the overall principle here in that section is don't try. Keep the areas in which we hike as natural as possible. You know, avoid making an impact. Avoid smashing down, ferns and other vegetation. Definitely don't be taking down anything. Don't be cutting down branches and things of that nature. And if there's established sites, use those established sites. And if there's an emergency, like you're just completely wiped, you're dehydrated, you need to be done, then use some of those dispersed camp principles, right? And find a place that's 200 feet away, and that's going to make the least amount of impact possible. Like a spot like here in the Pines, I could camp pretty much any square foot around here because there's no new vegetation growing up, right? It's just pine needle floor. You could put a tent here and leave a week later and nobody would probably know. It's really, don't be lazy on the trail. Be conscious of what's going on around you. Dispose of waste properly. This is the last section I'll talk about today. Pack it in, pack it out. Yeah, exactly. Don't leave any trash, period. Inspect your campsite and rest area for trash or spilled foods. Pack out all trash, leftover food, and litter. Yeah, I think it was Miyagi I was hiking with, and he said, let's do an idiot check. I thought, I like that, idiot check, and I've used that since then. This is something that I think I'm going to learn from. Deposit solid human waste, your poo, in cat holes dug 6 to 8 inches deep, of course, at least 200 feet from water, camper trails. That'd be nice. And then cover and disguise the cat hole when finished. Okay, we know that. Don't be that guy, okay? Pack out toilet paper and hygiene products. So this is something that I did not do at first. I thought as long as you dug your cat hole, you could put your poo and then all your toilet paper in that cat hole, just jam it down real good and cover it up real good. And I suppose that could work. But according to LNT, pack your toilet paper out. Now, I didn't know that was an official leave no trace principle. I thought leave no trace meant, even to this moment, I thought it meant just bury your toilet paper really good too. And don't bury wipes. Obviously, if you're using like wet wipes, take those out because those aren't gonna, break up and degrade over time. But I thought you could bury your toilet paper. Now, I have stopped doing that, but I did not realize that was an LNT principle. So, pack out your toilet paper. Yes, your dirty, nasty, poo-filled toilet paper. Which is why I just did a video on, it was kind of fun, but a tip for how I plan how much toilet paper I'm bringing out, right? And people are like, use a bidet, use a bidet. And I've been thinking about using a bidet for a while. I did order some backpacking bidets, which will be nice so I don't have to pack out as much dirty toilet paper. To wash yourself or dirty dishes, carry water 200 feet from streams or lakes. Use small amounts of biodegradable soap. Scatter strained dishwater. That makes sense, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So do your dishes and all that kind of stuff well away from the trails and water sources, and scatter it all around. Don't just make puddles. I'm going to stop there with this particular reflection. All right, guys, thanks for viewing. Thanks for listening to my rambling, kind of a reaction video. I'm not going to read the backside of this until my next one. And I hope that was interesting for you. It was good to think about that kind of on the spot for me, and some good reminders and some other things to consider, and perhaps increasing my compass skills would be a good thing. But until the next video, thanks for viewing, guys, and enjoy winter. Take care.